We're
All right.
excited to have you here, sir. I'm so excited to have you genuinely here with us because not only do we welcome fresh meat into the podcast grinder, but we also go ahead and get to have a new, fresh perspective. And especially when someone is not just enjoying TNA, but also supporting them, going to the product. And, I love to see it. You're going for Bound for Glory. So there's true intrigue and interest here. You're not just me jumping on the bandwagon. No, I've really enjoyed TNA more the last, especially 2 months, and it took a lull, point to kind of get back into the grind, but they are doing better. And you figure with how much talent has vacated the premises in the last 6 months, it could have been not a death sentence, but a real detriment. And I feel like they've handled it quite well.
Yeah, I mean, over the past like 2 months, really since Slammiversary, it's been like a whole turnaround for TNA. It was a struggle. I'm not even gonna lie. As much as I try to stay positive with TNA a lot of the times, it was a struggle from Rebellion to Slammiversary to watch weekly. They would have some good episodes, they would have some good parts in some good episodes, but then they would just have flat out bad episodes, and like I couldn't even spin it in a way to be like, well, this was actually a really good episode if you think about it. No, I was flat out saying this is terrible. This is just garbage. And honestly, they got rid of some really people that you thought would stay there for a while, like Tommy Dreamer. And I don't know really who's the head right now. I hear Delirious might be the head, but really, since they let go Tommy Dreamer, you felt a change from Slammiversary to the first episode of TNA Impact without Tommy Dreamer. You felt immediate change within the episodes. They flowed better. A lot of the younger talent like Casey Navarro and Leon Slater, Ricky Sosa, they're being featured and used a lot more. It just feels fresh. And no product is perfect, but you can tell over the past 2 months that they're trying to get to perfect at least.
Do you
Yeah.
feel I've had a little bit of a okay, and also I'll throw the quick plug in there right away. Those people that out there that have been listening to us for a long time, you guys know we don't usually get through an episode with me without me pulling some kind of reference from the Wrestling for Life guys. If you're following the Wrestling for Life guys, you already know Tony is over there with Big Nick doing the live watch alongs like no other on a Thursday. Check them out for all that kind of thing. But would you agree that at this point it's almost a we've lost all these people, we're really under the gun, nobody's really sure of anything, now is the time to double down and make sure we kick the ass out of something?
Yeah, I do think like this is the kick that they needed, right? We like you said, we've lost a lot of talent. We've gained some talent. We got rumors of knockouts, them trying to sign more knockouts. We got a rumor of, and it's not really a rumor, it was confirmed by TNA themselves that there's a knockout returning to the company as well. So you see them trying to move parts, right? You see them trying to kind of change a little bit of everything, even with when it comes to like the TNA Plus app, right? They just announced TNA VIP yesterday. And with this TNA VIP, it's 129 US dollars if you live in the United States. And on top of that, like one of the perks is getting 2 free tickets to a TNA event of your choosing per year. So TNA is trying to really put themselves out there. They had an announcement about Explosion today of how Explosion is going to be not exclusively on this particular app, but they're going to have exclusive Explosion matches on this app. So TNA is
Okay.
trying their hardest to just try to find a footing, trying to put themselves out there. There's always going to be naysayers out there for TNA, but I feel like really since Slammiversary, they're trying to make a turnaround, and a turnaround doesn't happen overnight.
No, and it would be really easy to fall into that. I always say that TNA is sort of like the modern day ECW. When you had WCW and WWF, ECW was like, we're not going to try and compete with them. We're doing our own thing and we can just stay. And then TNA kind of is in that position now with the relationship with WWE, and people fall on either side of that. But there's always been that sort of either a good statement for people that like TNA or sort of a joking rib from people that don't like TNA. Well, yeah, TNA is down again, but they never die. And
The
with that
cockroach.
mentality, Yeah, and for good and bad, right? And for with that reason, it would be very easy to rest on our laurels. It's like, oh, okay, we're having a bad time, but we're not going anywhere. And I think they're really fighting against that that sense of laziness, and they are trying to do something.
No, you're
My
you're right. They're combating lull TNA. That's what it is. They're
they
they're
are.
they're going after. They have an annual VIP deal right now for $99.99 for introductory offer, and then as you mentioned, and that they've got the one and only free tickets, which I think is incredible. So not only do you get the content library, podcasts, upcoming shows, VIP only content, merchandise offers, 2 tickets, exclusive member benefits, I say only, but it's only $100 introductory or $129 for the year with promo code TNA 2026. I mean, that's incredible. That's for the fans. I
That means
can't
I have to pay 200 maple syrups.
right, and a few loony dollars. But at least people are getting all the content, and it's enjoyably like different from WWE valuing their customers.
You know what the funny thing is? When we finally got, I mean, this is old news for some people, but when we finally got TNA on a proper channel up here in Canada, they switched it so that you couldn't watch Impact on the TNA app anymore because in Canada, the broadcast rights exclusively belong to Sportsnet.
Yeah, that's
So you
unfortunate how
you
that
you finally
happens.
got yourself a good TV deal up here, and they've got a big following up here too as well, which is cool. They're coming to literally my city in a couple of weeks, I think. And it's funny that they did the whole like you finally got a TV deal, and at the same time, you can't watch it on the app anymore. So the app is basically my pay-per-view machine now. Now
Which in its own right is saving you a ton of money. That's what I
it
love the
is for
WWE
sure.
Yeah.
Network for back in the day. That was the that
Yeah.
was the goal of it.
Yeah, it saves you a ton of money. I was paying for the pay-per-views individually, and, I decided I was like, "Well, maybe I should just go ahead and get" at this time, it was TNA World Champion tier,
Yep.
and it was
Mm.
$159, so I was gonna go ahead and get that, and I had been debating it over the past couple of weeks, and then when they announced VIP, I was like, "Well, this is perfect, and I get all this extra stuff," and I
Yeah.
mean, and I feel like for the US fans, like, they have I feel like they have catered to us a lot, especially with, us being able to watch the weekly shows on AMC, on the
Yep.
TNA Plus app, and on AMC Plus. So there's 3 ways you can watch TNA. I feel like there shouldn't be any type of complaining of, "I can't find TNA." There's 3 ways you can watch TNA. One is you
Technically
can have a
4
cable
because
subs
they even upload it
Right.
on YouTube.
Exactly. So yeah, there's like technically 4 ways you can watch TNA. And I feel like they've catered a lot to the fans. Even with this new TNA VIP, they've catered a lot to the fans. Something that WWE has backed off a lot lately. I don't even know what WWE, what is it, Club WWE offers, but to me, from what I've seen from TNA
I think
VIP,
it's
it
more
may
like
offer a little bit
interactive
more.
fan experience type
Yeah.
stuff. I'm not really like
Yeah,
the way they
merch
have John Cena like
opportunities.
smiling, the way they have John Cena smiling like super hard in all the commercials is almost off-putting at this point.
Well,
But
that's
it's like
that's the draw of it, Spaz, is because it's literally right now the Never Seen 17 collection and
yeah,
24-hour pre-sales to WWE's events. So you're not
yep,
getting free tickets, you're not getting discounted tickets, you're just getting early access to the tickets. And now we know with WWE, early access is not a good thing. If you wait a little bit,
no.
you can get a ticket for $25. That's a
They're
Right.
they're coming to Toronto on Friday, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I think they should focus more on getting the audience back because, I mean, Toronto's a good wrestling city, but I cannot pretend that we've been bursting from the seams the past couple of times that they've been here. To be completely honest with you, but before I get into SmackDown, because I am going and it's fun and it's hashtag Spaz is going and all that obnoxious stuff, we got Tony here. And Tony has a very unique sort of from TNA perspective. Tony also spends a lot of time working with KJ and Nick. KJ and Nick, who are two very honest, but very open minded, very community minded, relatively respectful, unless you outright piss them off type guys. We're
opinionated but
kind of,
based on facts.
yes,
Right.
My
we're kind of
favorite.
dickheads over here. So we can let our hair down a little bit. Plus, you know, if nobody's going to see you put your hair down because it's a podcast. Hey,
That's a double ball
so
joke.
while we have an almost endless conversation, me being a WWE guy first and foremost, and you know, looking over the fence a little bit, and seeing the mud that's over there. Please, Tony, give me your perspective on the counter programming outcry.
Yeah, I can definitely kind of give my perspective there. So, counter programming, I'll first start off by saying like counter programming has always been a thing, right?
Yeah.
No matter if it's, wrestling related or entertainment related or sports related, counter programming is has always been a thing, right? My problem when it comes to counterparting is counter programming is when um one side thinks it's okay to do it to another, but then when it's done to them, it's a problem, right? And like I said, before I really get into that, like counter programming, if it's a thing, it's always been a thing.
Mhm.
But if we're looking at like examples here, right? WWE counter programmed AEW a bunch of times,
Yep.
this year, last year, like they did it. I mean, it's a thing, right?
Mhm.
Well, when it's done to AEW, there's an outcry from the fans, there's an outcry from Tony Khan himself that like this is victimizing, this is purposely being done to AEW. The few times it's been done to TNA, from AEW's perspective, it's AEW had this venue or this time booked months in advance, and this is what it's always going to be. It was the network who chose that they could move Collision, to Thursday nights, and Tony Khan really wanted Collision to stay on Saturdays or stay on Sundays, but it was the network. It's always an excuse for the AEW fans, right? It's always like they have some type of reply, when it's done to TNA. But when it's done to them by WWE, it's just a whole different light. And I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
understand it. It's legit a double standard. Counter
It is.
programming has been a thing for all of these years. So you either suck it up and take it, or you don't say anything at all. And it seems like AEW and Tony Khan, they always have something to say when it comes to WWE doing it to them, but when they do it to TNA, it's all fine and dandy. And when Carlos kind of steps up and says, "We're not going to stand for this," and he tries to does some things on his end to kind of counteract it. Oh my God, it's downhill for TNA. TNA doesn't know what it's doing. Carlos needs to be removed from as the president of
I kind
TNA
of like
wrestling.
Carlos, to be
Like
honest.
it's just I
I
don't
do as
get
well.
it, and it really bothers me sometimes.
It's that fan sentiment that makes you chuckle because eh, I don't want to say everyone, knows, but we know there's a lot of, bless their hearts, special individuals that are fans of wrestling. And a lot of it, I've always said,
Yep.
comes down to them not being able to differentiate fact and fiction, what's real and what's magic behind the curtain. And I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but basically, long and short is when you see Iron Man out and about, you go, hi, you know, Robert Downey Jr., not hello, Mr. Tony Stark, as where you see Roman Reigns, you're not hello, Joe, it's hello, Roman. So I think there really is
Yeah.
that hard, split for a lot of the fans. And the one thing I want to say today, I don't think counter programming exists anymore. When they had true counter programming, it was the intention to not just limit live viewership, but to absolutely and fully eliminate your competition. Like that was the entire goal. It all started with Starrcade Survivor Series 87. Vince said, if you go ahead and you air Starrcade, you will not get WrestleMania. Like that is it.
Mm.
So they picked Survivor Series over Starrcade, and then Crockett had his own free show, and it turned into a war. Obviously, they sold, became WCW. You know the history, but the point is, right now, there's no more counter programming, truly, in my eyes, because you're not taking away from ratings, And back then, you had to choose what you were watching. Now, things are online. They're DVR'd. They're saved on the cloud. There's no reason you can't
We're just
go and
popping up
watch
5 screens.
but you don't have to watch it all at the same
No.
time. You can go back to back, watch the first show. There's nothing keeping you from enjoying all of it nowadays. As we're back in the 80s, you had to watch what you watched when you watched it. There was no on demand. There was no internet access. Like, it just wasn't a thing. You know, you had to go and look at the TV guide to find out when your show was coming on. That was our,
Right.
you know, our
Okay, but
major option. So
here's the example I want to give, and I think they're kind of comparable. And I like I said, we got Mr. TNA here, so I want to pick TNA's brain a little. I always said that back in the day when AEW first got up off the ground, I was curious like anybody else. The only good thing going on in WWE, in my humble opinion, because the main roster was kind of shit, NXT was kind of kicking ass. NXT was on Wednesdays. NXT was the reason a lot of people got the WWE network, and it was the reason people were tuning in to WWE. It's like, oh, you know, Raw is silly. SmackDown's a recap show. NXT's got some really exciting guys there, and it looks like they can let their hair down a little bit and do some of their indie stuff, and I can be introduced to new people and whatever. So because it was sort of, without being the focal point, it was the focal point of WWE at the time. So Tony Khan and AEW take what they initially trademarked as Tuesday Night Dynamite and drop it on Wednesday and counter program NXT for a solid 70 weeks.
Right.
Now, where the comparison is now, and this is what I want to throw to Tony, I would believe that, okay, 2 things just happen to be on the same night, but the frequency of Collision magically ending up on Thursday nights now, coupled with the counter programming of Slammiversary, since the deal with WWE, like enemy of my enemy is my enemy, can't go overlooked.
no, it can't.
You're right. Yeah, it definitely can't go overlooked. I see it more as this. Um Now TNA Impact has been on Thursday nights for forever, right? It was on Thursday nights, even on Access TV. They went live a couple of times on Access TV before they officially got the deal with AMC.
Yes, indeed.
It's since the deal with AMC that it's been a bigger issue when it comes to AEW counter programming TNA. Let's just use the most recent example. Now TNA had announced they were going live. I think it was July 30th, a month or a month prior, right?
Yep.
All of a sudden, Collision is moved
live
to Thursday, and it's live an hour before TNA, and then they're
certain
in
tag team
Detroit.
debuts.
Yeah, and they're in Detroit, and a certain tag team that spent years in TNA debuts on the Thursday night episode, which would have never been the case. It would have been on Thursday night. It would have been on Wednesday night on Dynamite, and not on
which was also in
Collision.
Detroit.
Exactly, which was also in Detroit, but you decided to do it against TNA on TNA's regular Thursday night on a regular live episode. That's what makes me question if this is intentional, right?
While
And
laughing it
again,
off and saying they're not competition. Keep that in mind.
exactly right. While
Oh,
you're
but when-
steady taking the talent,
Sorry, but
away
when
from TNA.
Carlos Silva actually grew a spine, because I think for the most part, Carlos Silva's comes off as a really nice guy. But when he actually bowed up for once and said, okay, you're going to keep fucking with our show. We're not going to let our guys fight your guys on indie shows. Why would we help you?
Yeah.
And
And
the
look
whole
at
thing,
the fire from that. Oof.
I cannot stand the idea of punching up or punching down. If you have a problem with somebody, you have a problem with somebody. If WWE has a problem with AEW and they act on it, that's not punching down. That's solving a problem. If TNA has a problem, I don't even think that's necessarily punching up, because that's talking down to TNA. But the idea that this got morphed into this narrative that Carlos Silva was trying to bully Tony Khan. Like, what are we doing?
How is that even a narrative? How is that even a narrative to spin?
I don't know.
You know what I go back to every time is look at Kenny Omega with the TNA title, and then look at Trick Williams. When you have a different star from an outside company holding your title and how it's handled. Because people criticize Trick. Oh, look, he's taking it away from. He elevated everyone in TNA and put over their biggest star ever at that time. And you know what I mean? Like,
but
Exactly.
I think that was a two-way street, though. I think it
oh,
was an
absolutely, but
infusing.
Oh, yeah.
It was an infusing of a little something different for TNA because not to talk down to TNA, but there is like WWE sparkle is a little bit of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, as a character, Trick was night and day once he started like
Yes.
flushing himself out. I've said it about a lot of people, and I know not everybody is everybody's favorite, but like Trick Williams, JC Jane, Tatum Paxley the couple of times. Tatum Paxley actually technically being the first NXT star to cross the line, as
Yeah.
they say. I know not everybody likes Elena Black, but she bursts
Cora
off the
Jade,
screen now,
yeah.
pun intended. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's another one? Ariana Grace. I know, Tony, not one of your favorites, but as a character, as a absolutely like get under your skin to like an Alicia Edwards level
Yeah,
character,
she did.
she's grown that in TNA.
Yeah.
Sade.
Yeah. Yeah, Mara Sade, like, she left WWE, and I felt like she was I don't wanna say she was nothing in WWE, but she was in a pretty good tag team, but not doing much. Man, and she went to TNA and really found, who she was in the wrestling
And now
ring. She
she's
was
gone.
stuck in a right, she was stuck in a tag team in WWE and then really busted on the scene as a singles competitor in TNA, and people don't realize the amount of, stars that really have either came out of TNA or went back to
Or
TNA and reinvented themselves, like
or
Bobby
Absolutely.
Lashley.
not even came or
Drew
left, but I
Galloway,
think
Cody Rhodes.
anybody, whether it was their starting or whether it was where they end up or whether it was just somewhere in the middle of their development, like there is
Yeah.
something to say about going through the TNA filter.
But TNA has
Yeah,
that kind of
abso
like pressure cooker because it is in I don't know a better way to spell it out. Like it's not the land of mediocrity by any means, but it is
No.
viewed in like this mid area. So
It
you
is.
want to
It's
be able
weird.
to
I don't like it.
shine and outdo and over exemplify yourself in the best ways possible. So you get these characters becoming larger than life. Eli Drake, all these things catch on, and you're like, oh wow, look, they got something. They knew what to do with Santana. I mean, Pride and Powerful, he was a tag guy. You look at, there's a lot of look at Mustafa Ali right now. He agrees.
Mhm.
He's saying it, and people are like, oh, look at that. He's being so arrogant, and that's the character, obviously. But he's saying how the TNA International title was not legitimate before his title reign. And he's not wrong.
I'll give you an example, right? I don't know if you guys have seen TNA from or NXT from last night.
Yes.
Yes, no, maybe.
A little bit.
Opening segment, right? Cruz Montana, because his name is Cruz Montana now.
Cruz Tony Montana. That's what we call him.
Oh my God.
He was cruising in the
You
parking
little
lot. Don't worry about it.
cockroach.
But here's the thing: it is one of those things, and I bug Nick all the time about the name thing.
Yeah.
And I did start the joke of should we call them the Husky Six and all that kind of thing, right? It is one of those things of when you hear why he wanted the name the way it is, you kind of be like, okay, there's a reason for it. At least it's the same as what we said about the Kabuki Warriors back in the day. He crossed paths in a promo segment for about a minute with Ray Phoenix. And you can't honestly tell me in that 1 minute that wasn't a bigger pop that either one of them got collectively the entire time they were over on the Mud Show.
Oh,
just can't.
absolutely. Yeah, and especially with that
Yeah.
small of a crowd in NXT. I brought this up on the review today. I said somehow the ovation from that small of an audience sounded like not thousands, but louder than what they usually get. And I said
louder than we know what we know the studio is.
Yes, and I said that
I'd rather have a loud
exemplifies
small crowd than a dead big crowd.
in AEW. I sound like I'm always trashing them, but like on the build to
It's so
All In, I'm
easy,
not
though.
getting there. But
No, I'm all out, and I'm not going to that either. Okay, the one last thing before I stop picking on TNA or before I start picking on AEW rather, because I do kind of think I'm punching down because I'm better than them and they know it. Tony, we've talked about it before in chats and on X and whatever, but I've got you live here in the flesh. Kinda pause. The transition or lack thereof of any, and I don't mean people like Samoa Joe, that's a separate category, but any current TNA to AEW transfer, who's doing well? TNA to
Who's doing
AEW.
well? That's
TNA to
that's a
AEW.
that's a good question. I think out of all of them,
Maybe Kevin Knight,
maybe Kevin Knight, but
but he's in
Kevin
the
Knight
Don
had a
Callis family.
he's in a Don Callis family, but Kevin Knight had like maybe a year and a half away from TNA. He was fully New Japan. So do you
Okay, all right,
count Kevin
fair.
Knight?
I
Do
didn't
you
even know that,
count
to be
Kevin
fair.
Knight? I guess you can count Kevin Knight. The one that's been used a lot that was like really truly TNA is Speedball Mike Bailey. He's been featured a lot. Has he done anything of significance? No, but he has at least been featured.
He's made up the
Predominantly,
numbers though in a lot of things though.
exactly. But outside of that, I mean, the Rascals went there, and Trey
Where are the
Miguel is
Rascals?
featured.
Where
Trey
are the
Miguel
Rascals?
was featured more on TNA when he was injured for
Okay,
the
thank
past
you.
like 4
Okay,
months.
you
Wearing the
brought it
Motor
back.
City
One
Machine
of
Guns, even.
you
They just
brought it
debuted and
back.
haven't seen
One
them.
of the coolest things. Jake's heard me say this enough times. It's new for Tony. Two of the things that I will say about TNA that I will hold in high regard over either of the other two companies is A, they will do intergender wrestling and they'll do it properly.
Yeah,
B, they're not afraid of cancel culture.
right.
They
Absolutely.
brought back Trey immediately. They're like, he got fucked, buddy. Come back, open arms. Tessa Blanchard,
Very
not
true.
everybody's cup of tea, but holy fuck.
Brought it back.
Like,
Yeah,
you're a star. And then you hear some of the people in AEW are associated with, and it's like, okay, that's that, but you couldn't have Tessa because she said some mean things. And I'm not, let's be clear, not justifying if the things that she said
right.
was alleged to have said are true or
Right.
anything along that line. But like, there's people associated with emo cowboy and such that have done much worse than say mean words. So again,
Right.
gets back to, as Tony brought up immediately, gets back to like the ultimate feeling or the ultimate ambiance around the whole conversation is hypocrisy.
Exactly. It's definitely hypocrisy. But like to get back to like the original question, if you look at Trey Miguel, like he was
Best.
signed to AEW and then he immediately got released, right? The
Mhm.
Rascals haven't been doing much, but as soon as he was released, he came back to TNA, won one of the briefcases in the Feast or Fired
Mhm.
match, and then became international champion.
Custom
What can you
International Championship as well.
exactly? What can you say of what the Rascals has done? What has Jake Doyle done? He was Jake something in TNA, and
Oh, come
when
on. He was one half of Davis and Doyle. They're the best new
exactly
tag team.
exactly like
What about Lance Archer? I mean, he's killing it, right? No,
right?
guys?
Okay.
So
Okay. Let's play. Okay, we'll do it. We'll have to do it the next time we get Tony on. We'll go through the roster and start pulling out random names
Yeah.
and
I
just
love it.
play like Don Callis family or not.
yes,
Are they?
I like
Have
that.
I
they
don't
been?
want to
Will they
hear
be?
I don't want to hear anybody bitching about the bloodline. I don't want to hear a single thing about Samoan invasion, whatever, as long as the Don Callis family has 2,700 members.
I was gonna say I think there is 2,700 members legit. So
Because between takeout and I don't think this is my thought. I think this is, again, to give credit, I think this was a Big Nick thing. Take out the Don Callis family and the Death Riders, and how many of the roster do you have left?
yeah. Wow.
That's a
As
thing,
of right now,
right?
there legitimately, how many members do you think there are, including Callis himself?
I would say over 30 at least.
Right? You would think. What about you?
You had it up on a wiki at one point, right?
Yes. As of right now, there's
I don't know. I'll let
15
Tony guess.
active. Yeah, 15
15
active.
active.
That was
But-
my number 15. I thought it was like
Ooh.
15.
Now, overall, though, is the question. There's 15 active. How many do you think overall?
I'm going to stick with 30.
I'm gonna say about 35.
It's 25, actually.
Okay. All right.
I would think it would be a lot more, but everything that I'm seeing here with all the formers, Sammy, Will, Roosh, Powerhouse Hobbs, Takeshita, and
I think it says a lot
Andrade.
that like Ace Austin was in there for like 5 seconds and then they just slipped him over to the Gun Club and nobody said anything because it's like, okay.
Yes.
No one
See, that's why I'm
noticed.
saying there has to be more members that they didn't even fully count. And exactly, there's got to be so many more because I don't see
Think
him
about,
on
like,
that list.
And I know Chris Bay is still on his recovery and all the best wishes to him in the world. But before Chris Bay got it, think about how hot ABC were as a tag team
Mhm.
in TNA. And I'm sorry, I like the Gun Club as an act. I think they're really entertaining as an act to watch in the ring. I think they're really good for what they are and how they're being used. But like, it's night and day.
You're not wrong. And like you mentioned, I don't want to seem like I'm always coming across down in AEW. Like you and I have this shtick on the show, so it's become
Yes,
just a
yes.
joke at this point, ongoing. But legitimately, like I know All In will be good. It's not going to be great for my
Mhm.
taste. You know, there's things that I'm not crazy about. But like
We
when
are
they
we
were
are
limited,
cursed with knowing that they have good talent on that roster.
yeah, when they were cursed by the
Yeah.
New York Athletic State Commission by not being able to do all the typical mud show
All the blood.
things.
So they did
Yeah.
the fish tank.
And I was
They
like,
did the fish tank.
yeah. So they tried to get away with some of it, and it was like, but the rest of the matches, most of them didn't have blood, weapons, and it ended up being probably one of the best. I think that was Double or Nothing. It ended up being
That was
close
Double or
to like,
Nothing. Yeah.
yeah, one of the best shows of the year. I mean, Cody, my other co-host was there. He had an amazing time, and he doesn't even follow or watch regularly. And he was like, "Oh my god, I got to start watching." He watches Dynamite that week, and he's like, "Yep, I'm out." Like,
Here's the thing, right? I've always said that there's a lot of talent in TNA that I like, and they're very good at making me hate people I used to like, which is not a great thing, right?
no,
I was at Forbidden Door when Forbidden Door was in Toronto. They got a ticket price out of me because they had CM Punk on the card. Let's be fair for a second.
Mm.
The collision the night before was all 4 members of the Gun Club versus CM Punk, Ricky Saints, and FTR. And all the good parts of that match are now in WWE.
Yes.
But what else I saw, I didn't know much about Will Ospreay, and I sort of had a sort of a slanted opinion of Kenny Omega. But I sat there and I watched Ospreay versus Omega happen right in front of me in Toronto. And I walked out of that thinking this is by far and away going to be the best match I see this year. And it was, to be fair, to give them all the credit in the world. They are now using that match to main event their WrestleMania. And nothing against either guy. I think they're both dealing with a lot of nicks and knacks and all that kind of thing. I don't want the match that I'm going to see on my TV in 2 weeks to take away from that awesome match that I saw live. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, I am looking forward to seeing it nonetheless, though. And Darby will do something silly, and Mick Foley will do more grifting, and blah blah blah. But if I can bring it back around to the counter programming conversation for a second, and bring it back to me because I'm selfish, I'm going to SmackDown on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Obafemi is going to be on SmackDown on Friday, and we're getting CM Punk versus Kevin Owens for the title on
Yes.
SmackDown. This is where I say very much so. I think they know they're losing the Toronto audience and they wanted to give us something to come back to, which is awesome. The return of Kevin Owens, awesome. Me getting to see CM Punk, awesome. The pop that Kevin Owens is going to get in Toronto is going to be fucking godly.
Oh yeah.
Whatever happens in that match, I think there's either going to be a shocker or I think there's going to be shenanigans. There's definitely going to be a rematch. So why don't we put that rematch, I should say, because, Canada's kind of home ground for Kevin Owens. Wouldn't it be interesting if there was an upcoming pay-per-view in Chicago the same day that AEW's running a show in Chicago and is already being beaten out in them ticket sales wise, 8,000 to 6,000 in Chicago on the same night in Chicago, CM Punk in Chicago, fucking with AEW in Chicago. I
Chicago.
stroke my invisible beard and I smile a whole bunch. But I'm going to be there. First of all, for anybody listening right now, I am going to run a SmackDown hangout on Friday. So Nick and everybody else not Nick, Jake, and MDB and Bradley and C Money and all the people that drop into the chat for the watch alongs that are still doing really good. Please keep an eye on my chat and make sure nobody's silly while I'm not there. But bottom line, I'm throwing it to you guys. Do we get the shocker in Toronto while I'm there? Not that kind of shocker. Pause. Do we get Kevin Owens going over CM Punk to set up the rematch in Chicago against AEW in Chicago?
I hope so. I hope Kevin Owens beats CM Punk on Friday. I haven't been really following the WWE product as much, but Kevin Owens coming back, like I saw that at SummerSlam. That was really cool moment.
People crying.
Right? And then, the first face-to-face was decent. It was pretty good. But I feel like Kevin Owens would breathe like fresh air on SmackDown. I'm hearing SmackDown's been good the past couple of weeks, but Kevin Owens winning that title, I think that would do a lot for the SmackDown brand.
Absolutely.
Chelsea Green is the new women's champion with her broken face. JC Jane is the new U.S. champion. Fatal Influence have the tag titles.
You've got a hell of a card, too. So apparently, according to AI, it's Julia's in-ring debut against the new challenger, Blake Monroe. So that match is happening. You've got Blake Monroe and Julia, but it's not Julia's in-ring debut.
Chelsea also being Canadian, it's a bummer that she's like still on the injured list. With
she will be there. She has a match scheduled against Kiana James.
Oh dear.
So I don't know if she's going to do the whole wrestle in a mask thing, or was that advertised? Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, because on two different arena sites, it's listed and not. So flip a coin. But you are getting
in the dark matches on a lot of SmackDowns recently. It's been Cody Rhodes and Obafemi as a tag team.
Yes, and what it has here is NXT champion Obafemi makes a surprise guest appearance.
NXT champion,
former NXT champion.
And it doesn't even say former; it says current, and then it says Matt Cardona versus Drew McIntyre is the singles showdown. Thank you, AI.
Drew McIntyre is not even back yet.
No, but we are getting Kit Wilson and The Miz taking on Damian Priest and R-Truth. So that is going to be.
Are they still listed as tag team champions?
Yes.
Considering like the MFTs have Haku in their corner now, which is a wild 2026 thing to say.
A wild Samoan appears. And no, that's a hell of a thing. He's still as intimidating as ever, no?
It's funny that they keep on like emphasizing that they're the Tongans, not the Samoans, because SmackDown, as awesome as it is sort of putting their flag up in the air as we're the show that doesn't have the bloodline. We've just got everything else.
What was the great Kabuki's manager's name? Kabuki. Oh my goodness. Because he's basically he's doing what Haku's doing now, especially even with the cane and everything. Because I used to remember Kabuki coming out and he would have, oh my God, it'll come back to me eventually. But his manager would have the big cane and he would smack the shit out of everybody. It was great, and I mean, he would lay into people with the damn cane. Sonata, right? No, that's
survey says no.
No, I will find it though. But yeah, Kabuki was
Swing
the
and a
first
miss.
one to do the mist, So I remember his manager used to come out and just Haku with his cane looked exactly like him. And he's walking out there.
You say he would Hawk Tour on their cane?
Hawk Tour. Yeah, all right, bringing it back.
Hawk Tour and spit on that thing. God damn.
Hey, it's better than the magical dragon, right? All
right. We got Tony on here to talk some TNA. We got all the tribal ranting out of the way. Hashtag being tribal is okay.